Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Power Book 4 Force review. It's your boy Lucas, your boy Najir. And before we get into just our regular banter, we got to give a special shout out to our man from beyond the grave, Mr. Phil Donlin, who happened to come through with these pretty dope shirts that say, "Oh, hey, pussy," which is like the best thing.
He would have got too much heat. He would have got too much heat. He would have said "fuck Tom Brady." So we had to go with the second best quote with this here.
Hey, I'm a Patriots fan. I can't say "fuck Tom Brady," but I understand.
Yeah, thank you to the good man Phil Donlin hooking us up with the shirts. As we said, we recently had him on the show. He's always welcome to be on the show. Very fun interview. It's not even an interview anymore. It's just a conversation. He comes in, kicks it with us, talking about Simon McDougal, who had a short run on Power. Should have been much longer, but made a huge impact and will forever be in the Power universe. And folks, if you're trying to get you some merch, you can contact Phil on any of his social medias, Instagram or Twitter, phil.donlin. Give him a shout, give him a DM. He will definitely respond, and he will make sure he give you the information as to costs and all the little shipping and all that other stuff. But definitely support it. I'm going to miss Simon being on the show. Just that banter has not existed since. And no shade, as much as I like Tommy and Walter, and they got a little something going on, which we'll talk about in this episode. It was nothing like what Simon brought to the show. And by the way, he definitely gave us some love, gave us a card right there. Thank you for having us on the show and keeping Shy's memory alive. And you already know, rep with pride. And we will. So folks, get you some merch from my guy, Phil Donlin. Hit him up on his social medias. Give him some love. Even if you can't purchase anything, give him some love, because Simon's definitely been a character that is, again, just brought a special element to Power Book 4 Force.
Exactly.
We had him a little bit longer, you know. It's funny because I always keep thinking about pairings I would have loved, and the more and more we're seeing Polly come out of his shell, I mean, I feel like we were definitely robbed of a Paulie and Simon interaction. And think about it though, like how interesting would that have been knowing what Paulie's son is and what he's going through in the route that Simon is kind of driving down, and he's like, hey, you know, this kind of hits home, like you need to slow down a little, homie, you know what I mean? And of course Simon's not taking no criticism.
Oh, not at all.
he got invited back
after he got invited to the cookout. He didn't give a fuck what nobody said about him. Even though we eventually we're gonna have to have a conversation about a white man inviting another white man to the cookout. That's hilarious.
Hey, listen. I mean, if there's any exemptions to it, this one was one. Exactly. Oh man, but yeah, a lot of things to talk about tonight's episode. Definitely jump in the comments immediately right now. Let us know your thoughts about tonight's episode. Make sure you hit the like button. If you're just the first time you've ever checked this out for whatever reason, please subscribe. We're here covering Power and all things Power Universe beyond this point. But we definitely love us and appreciate the support from you all. So let's get into tonight's show.
Hey, we found out some very interesting things in this episode. First, you know, I had to bring out the red cup for our dead homies. You know, we lost another one. You know,
another one down, brother.
Hey, memorial service gonna be this week at the Queen's Child's Project. For our fallen soldier Gloria. Oh, also, hey, before I get into that, I got a cape for my guy right quick, because y'all made fun of my boy for I don't know how long about him mistaking the Orthodox Jews.
Let's go.
Amish.
Let's go.
And we got people out here calling them pilgrims.
Let's go.
Pilgrims though, look here. That was the funniest.
I felt so good. Literally, I felt so like the rejuvenation in my body. I could not wait to do this review. I was like, wow, I really made a fool of myself a couple episodes ago. And then they were like, look, hold my beer. I got you, bro. I got you. And they definitely came through swinging for the fence.
Hey,
Pilgrims.
Look here. Hey. They resemble pilgrims. I'm assuming the people. I don't know who. Maybe you say, but you just can't come after my boy no more. Not after this, because they was dead set on them being pilgrims. They knew they was right. Those are fucking pilgrims. But let's get into the episode as we start off the episode with meeting the new Distros. We meet the new people who will be pushing Dahlia. Kind of the first time we really saw Tommy really overly interact, besides that very first interaction in the second episode with some of these partners here. But what did you think the perception of him introducing them to the drug, telling them, hey, things changed a little bit. High has not changed at all. So he's introducing them to the cheaper product. What did you think about that when that first came out?
I felt the foreshadowing of like, hey, it doesn't go anymore. But it's still hitting, you know, and they tested it and they like, yeah, it's still doing what it's doing. I think we're all waiting for the repercussions of the lower, lesser version, the cheaper version of it. But beyond that too, I think like seeing Tommy in this capacity is really dope. I mean, this for anybody who's just a Tommy fan, I mean,
exactly.
If this is the last episode, this is a dope arc. This is a person who was always second in line and always had to take orders and never really had his own. And look at him running his empire. And this was his first call to order after his nomination, and he's looking very comfortable. And then people are receiving him pretty well. And even with him stating his price of $55 a key, a little bit of hesitation, but don't worry, because the Pilgrim said we'll take it, 3 of them. And that's what it is.
took that deal right back to the Mayflower. Like, hey, but we got some good shit here for you, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say really quickly because my mind is scrambling real quick because I meant to say this a second ago. Folks, we want to continue doing our Power After the Grave interviews, but we need a little help. I need you all to tag somebody you want to see next on the show. And I think it's very clear that we should be having Gloria on here soon. So hopefully it happens. We haven't really gotten anything concrete. We would love to have it, but I think we have some questions. We have a seat available, and we would love if you all can just send her a little nudge and say, hey, go chat with the good fellows over at Big Bell Media. We did get to talk to her before the season, and that was interesting. It was a fun time, but now we got some things to really talk about. So yeah, do us a little help. Send her a tag and tag us and say, hey, hit them up. And you all come through and show us love on our reviews. So I know for, our 10,000 episode type of viewership, I know at least 1,000 of you all can do a little atting on Instagram or atting on Twitter, whatever it may be. We will greatly appreciate that. So, hey, that's my asking you all for help, and I really would appreciate it.
They looking at you like, look, you're doing too much.
Not at all. They know how social media work, man. It's all a team. They want y'all want continued good content. Help us out, and whatever y'all want us to kind of do, and suggestions and ideas. I mean, y'all part of the family too. We see y'all in the comments. We respect y'all. We love y'all.
Exactly. So we wouldn't sell y'all Dahlia for $55 a key. We give you the family discount. You get at least for $38.
Listen. All I know, Luke, is that some of these folks may actually be hitting you up for some, because that's word on the street right now. So
wow, that I'm rolling with. Don't put that out there. Janelle ain't gonna try to kill me. I ain't trying to have nobody. I ain't trying to have those problems, man. But next part of the episode, again, a very interesting conversation had between Liliana and Tommy. I know this is a short scene, but it's pivotal because it's about possibly bringing someone else in that they can trust to help produce this product. Because as they say, if supply does not meet demand, eventually you're gonna have a problem here.
Yeah.
Again, I know this was a small scene, but this was important because this is the first time we've actually this is the first episode where they've had a full conversation about the supply of Dahlia and the work it takes to produce that supply. What did you think about when they thought about bringing someone in? Not who they thought about bringing in, but just the idea of Tommy expanding business that way.
Yeah, they were matching. That's the only thing I could think about right here. I said they literally have on the same outfit, both of them. And I was just like, what? It just felt a little like I should have said that. No, but seriously, I think at this point in my power reviews, I feel like I should be eligible for an associates in drug dealing, because just the vast amount of knowledge that they're giving you about how the business is run, I'm starting to sit back and kind of just consume it myself. Like, oh, I didn't even think of that. And I think that for show purposes, I think what's really special about this scene is that, and much like what Tommy said, he's like, hey, I'm finally dealing with another drug dealer, a qualified one, you know, one that really knows it. So like they're bouncing ideas off of each other and it's both being received. I mean, there's nothing better than having two wise brains in the same machine to operate something. And I think that like when they talk about it, it's not like when he's talking to I'm about to say Claudia,
exactly.
It's like Liliana is sharp and she's about that life. She's proficient. And Tommy's like, yo, I can literally just talk about this right out in public and right by the ocean or lakes, excuse me, not the ocean. Definitely not ocean, not at all. But like while we're just out here with the general population right now, like we could talk about these things and like we could be very precise with it and be done. So to me, before I start to suspect who was the hands going to be, I was just like, you know what? There's just a lot of respect continue being built here, and like they trust each other, and also they're going to give each other very much sound advice. So like when you want to look at this, like, oh my God, is this a bad thing? No, not at all. Now, one bit of me thought this was a bad thing, even not knowing how the business is run. I didn't think of it as a bad thing because I say like, oh, there's two educated people in this making a decision, so a good decision is going to come out of it. But when it came down to like, well, who would it be? I mean, it didn't take longer than 30 seconds for that to just be so foreshadowed. And I guess my conclusion here is you wanted to keep your family out of the business until you realized that you had a huge gap and how the machine was going to run, and thus that makes you go against your own words and belief and morals. Should we even say in this case, if there's any morals in drug dealing?
There definitely is. There definitely is.
I guess, right? There a 401k too. Like
maybe. Okay.
All right, well, but it just was interesting that in the situation that I'm not going to say dire situation or a means of desperation, but just to make the plan work, you had to do process of elimination. You only trust Liliana, and the only other person that you trust beyond that is JP. He's qualified, so therefore, well, back to the same old thing, family business.
I'm about to say he's not qualified, but he's just the person available for the position. We ain't gonna say qualified. He's
entry level.
He's a G6 coming in here with drug game.
Hey, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead. People gonna be like, what were we talking about? See, now we're not getting into that because now they're gonna have you mapped out for real now.
Oh yeah. We can't have it. Hey, in the next scene, we finally have Walter sit in front of his doctor and get a diagnosis and kind of hint towards his wife's illness a little bit here. Again, not that big of a scene. It's just, again, nice to see Walter's reaction to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say hearing bad news, kind of positive news in a way.
Yeah.
The way he reacted to it, though, was just as like it still was the worst news ever.
Yeah.
What did you think about that? Because I think it gives us a little mindset into how he feels about his children to me, how his wife's death overly affected him, and a little bit of fear in him.
Yeah. It's a scary thing. Cancer across the board is a scary thing. Hey. And also I had to like look this up because when I was writing in my notes, I was like, oh, Walter got his diagnosis. And I was like, wait, well, what's prognosis? And now I had to quickly remember. Diagnosis is essentially being the classification as to what the medical disease or condition is. Prognosis is what caused it. So, just when anybody want to know if I know a little anything. But no, I think one, because of him having stage 1 and having treatment options is good. And they very much said, we got this at an early stage, but sir, you got to get on some type of treatment. I think this is literally, as much as I like Walter, the character, as much as I like Tommy embodying the character Walter, because Walter is definitely a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I definitely sympathize for him, because now we see how the trauma and almost even the grief of what he dealt with his wife has him in a hard place that literally nobody's there to hold his hand. And I think that's a very important thing people aren't really assessing here, is that, like, yes, he's the boss, and he has family, he has kids, he has money, all that other stuff. But his wife being there with him would have almost been a no-brainer as to what he should be doing here. But he doesn't have that person to nod him. He is very much stubborn in his ways across the board. He's the inability to want to adapt or change. And I think this is a case where anybody who's ever been in a doctor's office knows, like, when you hear something, the world seems very small at that point. You really don't know what to do. And sometimes you need somebody to say, like, it's okay. Likely things happen. And what do you do? And I think this is the most humanized we've seen Walter
there you go.
Entire season. And you're right. Scared, confused, lonely, I would even go as far as, and I think that on the other end, you can almost say that it could make him a little dangerous as well too, because now he's kind of like, you start to think, has he just conceded death and said, like, hey, I had this whole plan that this was going to be way worse than what it was, and I was ready to turn it over to my kids, and that's my noble act out. That's going to make the family back home see that I did something noble, where I came up off the throne because it was my time, and I handed it down to Vic, and that's what the bloodline should be. But instead, it's like, you're promising Vic something, but you actually may not even be gone. You may actually have a lot more life.
It works two ways, because as someone who had cancer and it was caught early, but witness other people pass away from it, I love this scene because of his reaction to it, because it brought me right back to when I got my news, and hey, we caught it early, we can do this and this, you got options. But in your head, you're still thinking, well, I've seen people pass away from this, so that fear still builds up in you. It's something you don't let go, because your fear becomes your comfort. And here we see with Walter, his fear in him always knowing exactly what he had, and him being able to be comfortable in his fear, comfortable in finally making his plans and saying, I'm not going to be here much longer. But now you got options, but those options also bring in problems, and not necessarily problems in the business, but problems in your personal life. Because once you get a mindset that I'm not going to make it, it is hard to flip that mindset back around that, okay, I can fight and win this. And I think that's what makes this scene so great, because again, Walter doesn't say much, but it's all over his face, every feeling he has. And that's what I loved about this scene.
Also, I don't think he's comfortable with options. I think he's an old stubborn man. I think he's like, this is how it is, and that's it. I mean, even when Paulie, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but even when Paulie was like, well, what if it's not Vic? He's like, yeah, right. What would they say back in the crib?
But it also brought another... But since we did, I'm just going to bring this up quick, because it also brought a very interesting thing when he said, what would the family back home think about a woman being in charge? As much as we believed that Walter runs this organization, it's kind of clear by him saying that he doesn't.
I wouldn't go that far. I think
he runs the family portion of the organization, but it's a bigger umbrella over him.
Oh, for sure. And I think, this may sound crazy to say, but I think you kind of look at it like the Catholic Church, where like you run your church here, but you have to go and report back in terms of what's happening here. So you can do whatever the mess you want to do here, but best believe you have to report back. And what what's the start? What's it called? It starts with a V. The Vatican.
The Vatican, yes.
Right. That's like the hierarchy of it, right? And that's like
they're the mob. It's fine.
Right. So they have eyes on how everything is ran. I think this is the same thing where he says like, they're from Scotland and how things are and what their expectations as to what we should be here. We are used to seeing brutality, murder, and stuff on the street. So I came to Chicago because that was the closest thing to home. So I don't come here and I get soft. I come here and I do exactly what I was doing there.
Not only that, you got to understand also, does it make you look at Walter different? This whole time, at times we thought he was holding Claudia back. But if he's just understanding the business and understanding that there's no way she would be accepted as the leader of anything from the other people, does it make you think that Walter's horrible, or is it that he's just realistic?
I mean, he's definitely horrible because he could be more optimistic about it like Vic is, but he is if he's trying to protect her, then he should be more expressive about it. But I also don't think he really still do respect her, because he doesn't have to be physical in the way he is with her, but he is. And to be honest, like, to be 100% at this point now, 8 episodes in, I'm trying to see it both ways with him. Like, for real. Like, I really was just like, he's a shitty person. He's sexist. He's racist.
All those would exist. I mean,
right. And I mean, like, I'm not going to give him an exempt because of where he comes from. Those things still exist, but I'm saying, like, the content's behind it now. And we're seeing that in old tradition, this is what it is. But on the other end, it makes me look at Vic in another light, because it's like, well, Vic is the change, playing a dangerous game, you know?
Vic is also the softer portion of it. I even love the point that in this episode, we finally get a slight backstory of Walter when he talks about his time in Belfast. Yeah. And if anyone's seen the movie Belfast, you understand some of the battles he's bringing up there and how brutal that whole war was back then. So you can understand his perception of why Claudia couldn't. But I also think he overly respects her, but we'll get into that later. Let's quickly transition back
Let's do it.
To a conversation between Claudia and Tommy about bringing other people in on Dahlia. And him basically telling her, until Diamond's ready, I'm not willing to make a move with CBI on anything. What did you think about that? And what did you think about Claudia attempting to push it in a different direction?
Yeah, okay, so I think for Claudia's sake, I think she is trying to see the celebrity in this. I don't like it. I do not like it at all. She's like, I got it. I got something going. I'm really about to shut my dad down. We even seen her try to flex on him. So that's clearly where her mindset is at. I got something that everybody wants. I need to be the face of this. I'm looking for the celebrity. So cool. She went from like being the silent investor to like, now I'm the brand ambassador, owner, whatever you want to be. Exactly. Tommy is, I don't really like Tommy's stance either for show purposes, because I don't know how Tommy is aware of the family dynamic between Jannard and Diamond. Where did he pick this information up that by him working with Diamond would cause tension in CBI? That's what I didn't get. But I don't think he's wrong. But I don't see how he picked up on that.
Really?
Because
go back to the beginning parts of everything that was happening. He would feel the way, he would understand the way Jannard feels about him every time he comes around. That's just a sense. If I'm in that business, my number one goal is to pick up on folks when they're around me. I need to pick up on your vibe, because your vibe tells me more than anything else. We already saw Jannard and Diamond have that big fight for the lead of CBI. Tommy fully understood that was partially because of him. And I think he automatically knows the pushback that Jannard constantly has, because Diamond has told them. Remember that meeting they had, and I got to bring in Jannard, so I have to have a conversation with him. Yeah. So I think Tommy fully understands it's a problem there. And that's why he wants to proceed in the way that he does. Like, that made more sense to me than anything else. In the drug game, that's rule number one. You better be able to sense people around you.
See, my argument with that is that, and this is where I feel like I was extremely right, is that we see Jannard trying to come from under Diamond. And yes, there's a little bit of, what's the word here? There's a little bit of, I'll come back to it in a second. But the fact of the matter is that, like, they're brothers. And why they seem to have tension they just disagree, but they still mess with each other just in different ways. And I think like when they had seen where Jannar was getting cut, and obviously we can see the gears turning in Jannar's head, but even with the disagreement as to like we need to be on Dahlia, and Diamond's like, nah, it still was like, all right, cool. Like that's my bro, but like, nah, I'm still gonna do it my way. I don't consider that beef. I just
Really?
I'd still consider it just to be a different means of ideology in terms of running the business. Like one sees it one way, one sees it the other way, and I think that I don't see that's a problem. I think to disagree to agree is fine. I just think Jannar gets that. I think Diamond's still the one that hasn't really sorted that out.
I don't think it's a situation of agree to disagree. I think it's a situation of cool, you don't have to do it. I'm moving you out the way anyway. I think again, we've already heard it from Jannard's own mouth. That conversation with him and E. His goal is very simple. He wants Diamond out of his way, and he wants to run things his way. That doesn't mean I need you dead, but that does mean that I need you not to be in this business. Even though we've seen in another scene where he actually contemplating shooting Diamond. I don't think that's not played up for any reason. Again, this is something that has been building this entire season, and it's going to come to a head eventually. Where these two are going to either have to have that tough conversation, or they're going to have to go after each other. And if anybody would ever pick up on why that could happen, I thought it would be you, because we literally just saw it in the previous Power when Tommy and Ghost got to the point where they realize we both can't coexist with one another.
I mean, I feel you.
And why it always comes back around, because your brothers, the love's going to come back around, hopefully, before something tragic happens. But it was plenty of times between them two where something tragic could have happened, and that would have been it.
For sure. Yeah, I just think this quickly. I just think that Tommy is just him being able to pick up on that. Maybe it is because it's very reminiscent to him. Maybe that's why he was able to do it. But I was just kind of like him saying Diamond's his guy. That I definitely appreciate it, because I mean we saw that. So to confirm that was good. But I did not realize that he understood that by favoritism of Diamond creates divide between him and Jannar.
It's hilarious because Diamond's his guy, but we automatically say it, and I think it was you that brought it up. Diamond acts more like Ghost. It's amazingly weird that you can see it from the outside, the issue Jannar has, because Jannar acts like Tommy. Yeah. So Tommy sees it as Tommy sees that as being an issue. Yeah. But Diamond's your guy. Ain't that something? I get it. This is a weird thing. But we touched on enough topics here where I'm just gonna go to the next thing on my list. Is I'm just gonna skip a couple things because we already talked about it and brought it up there. But Dirty Cop meets Dirtier Cop.
Seamus meets we didn't get a name for this guy, so what are we gonna call him?
Dirtier Cop. Because Dirtier Cop laid it out. How long have you been in the Flynn's pocket? Here, at least I'm thinking they're trying to flesh out Dirty Cop number 1 a little more. And by giving them the backstory, we kind of understood that he was already in the Flynn's pocket because of his family issues. But here is even more to the forefront, at least how serious those family issues are. But that he may not be as good at covering up what he's doing, that another cop can automatically come to him and demand half. Did you think this scene was to hopefully build this character more up for the final 2 episodes going into season 2? Or did you just feel it was a throwaway?
Dog, make it make sense, because at this point now I'm like, why do I care about this person? The only thing that made sense is that they're trying to exploit him, and he went and asked for more money to also cover him to get out sooner, is what I think. But other than that, I really don't give a fuck. Like this is literally the most irrelevant thing right now.
See, I just think I think that's just it's power character building. That's all it is. And you know, we've always had those characters. We was like, why are you even bringing this character up right now?
Yeah. So we'll
3 or 4 years later,
2. Yeah,
exactly. And they'll come up and be like, that's why you brought that up. But
Seamus will end up joining CBI or some dumb shit, you know. Who knows? Maybe
I
he
hope
does
not.
get it. Maybe he does like look at it. It's like, dog, these black dudes out here getting some fast money. I'm making $50K a year, and what he needs about $50K
I about to say,
in
he better
medical
not.
expenses.
I understand that on television shows, y'all want to downplay what cops make a year. A cop ain't making 50K a year unless they just want to make 50K a year.
They
That is
fresh off the
humanly
street.
impossible. Hey,
They fresh
even
off the streets, man.
even fresh on, you ain't making 50K a year. I know cops that make 200K a year. You're not making, and them niggas run the beat. Come on.
Also that's because overtime galore. But hey, I
Exactly.
mean, you're
crowd
right.
don't
You,
sleep.
you can definitely make more if you want. But I mean, like, hey, look at this now. You work your regular hours and make your 50K, and then you get 100K from Vic. I mean, like, that's not bad, and that's fast money. And what? Vic just tossed him double. Vic said, "I'm ahead of you. Here's double."
Hey,
Come on now. Why you want to be straight when you can go out here and hustle like this, you know? And he's not doing nothing but giving progress reports. He's sending them tweets like,
shit.
yeah, seen Diamond. He was getting some water. Cool. All right, bet. Done. 100K right there.
All right, Alonzo Chambers. Let's get to the next topic here. In one of the most pivotal scenes of this season, finally a conversation between Walter and Claudia, as Walter just basically threatens everything about her and threatens her business directly to her face. And unlike, I want to say, kind of Vic, the way he backs down a little to Walter, Claudia just say, if you with it, I'm with it. If you game, I'm game. If you coming at me, you best not miss. What did you just think about that whole scene and that conversation between them two, as he's still trying to figure out everything that she's doing, by at the same time overly concerned that maybe she has a business going on that he doesn't know about? Because that's partially where I think, even though he doesn't show it often, the respect for her kicks in, because only reason you're going to threaten to shut her business down is because you think she can thrive without you.
So I guess the first thing is he said you're just as stupid as your brother. I thought, and reckless. I thought that was funny. And I will say, this is where we see the diagnosis of him having lung cancer come into play, because OG Walter would have smacked the shit out of her at this point, and he let her slide. I mean, she came in guns blazing, stepped up to him and everything in ways we haven't seen. And I think that he talks in, I think he talks in terror and fear.
Yes.
But he still doesn't know. So right now, that's what we call wolf tickets. And he's selling the hell out of them right now. So he's talking a mean game, but he doesn't know. And I think that that's all you can do. All you can do is talk shit when you don't really have nothing to back it up with. So it's just a different Walter right now. That's it.
Even later on, when he gets Vic involved and tells, you need to find out what your sister's doing. Yeah. Like it just comes across as, I'm losing control. I need to know what she's doing. I can't have her start something without me.
Yeah.
Because again, I think Walter fully understands she's the smart one. She's the one that if she branches off, she can build without a doubt by herself. Yeah. And I think that fear of her leaving is why he's threatening her, like, I will burn down everything you do. But next up is a very simple thing, the Pursuit of Dahlia. We get Vic looking for Dahlia with Dirty Cop. That's what the double money gets in. We get Jannard put 20K in the street for information on Dahlia, and then he finds out that it's being run by pilgrims. The pursuit of this new drug, I don't think we've ever seen in Power on the other crews pursuing anything in the street that one person has. How does this change your perception, or maybe confirm your perception of Tommy here? Because technically within a couple of months, he has complete control over Chicago with a new drug.
Sort of. I mean, it's a designer drug, so like it's attractive right now. And you know, even cousin Buddy said like Molly, and then they came to his aid saying now Molly did stick around, just kind of went to a different demographic. So it's not like they're not familiar with this process. And it's just attractive. It's like the new car smell, you know. Eventually, it goes away, and I think that's where it stands the test of time to see where does Tommy exist after this goes about. And to be honest, sure, but the Flynn's have been running things for years, and that's what true power looks like. If you ask me, sure, you could come in and make a quick impact, but the Serbs are also still here, and they're not backing down. So I think Tommy is a good catch. He's again the new car smell right now. We'll see what happens. Or new toy, whatever you want to call it.
I would throw this at you because it's something very interesting that is brought up from the high that you get off of Dahlia. And I understand them saying, well, it's the new designer drug. At one point, crack was the new designer drug. Let's not even talk about Molly. It really just depends on the drug and how it hits the market and the high that you can get off of it. The perception for Tommy is that this is going to be around for a while.
Of course, that. Everybody thinks that.
If you can't, the reason designer drugs go away is because folks figure out the formula and they can break it down and make it at an even cheaper cost.
Yo, so you mean to tell me, back in college, when Blue Dolphins was coming out swinging and everybody was on them, and the next thing you know, everybody was like, "Yo, did you see those new Obama pills?" I'm like, all right, now they fooling now. And it just kept going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And you know what? I don't know if you picked up on this because you probably did because you're very smart. Did you notice what Jannard said about Dahlia to Cousin Buddy?
Oh, when he called it black magic?
Yes, sir. And that right there ain't just a saying.
But keep in mind, and they said a couple times in this episode they called it black magic, which
it's
automatically should have. Hey, the moment the glow went away.
Of course, but now he's saying, and again, that's a different iteration of it. He's not gonna say, "Oh, it's Dahlia." Oh, this is black magic. Oh, this is Dahlia. Oh, this is the glow. It's going to keep changing, and I think this is the fear that the chemist was saying at some point of when. Well, and who's to say what the folks down in the south? What south? Where are they?
Gary.
South. Yeah, Gary. Yeah. Gary. Who's to say when they get it, what they try to do down there? When they say like, we don't need to keep coming up here to get it, you know, it's a lot of.
I think the key is always to. We got to go back to what the chemist said in the last episode. In the last episode, which is, you would need what she said, 1,000 people from MIT or something to break this drug down. That's the goal. Because even when those Mollies was hitting, because Molly from 2006 ain't Molly now. And that's because people were able to duplicate the formula and cut it and cut it and cut it and cut it.
Yeah.
As OJ Genesis would say. So when you can do that.
OT Genesis.
OT Genesis.
Yeah.
OG too. OG, OT. Same thing. But you do that constantly, you make something cheaper. And I think that's where they're going with Dahlia. I know we spend a lot of time on drugs here, but it's because it just popped into my head, and that's all.
Yeah, of course it popped into your head.
But again, it's just very interesting to see the evolution of the drug on the street, and Tommy fully understanding the drug he has on the street and how he could take a chokehold of the streets with this drug. All right, so next up. And I know it's a small conversation here between Vic and Walter. We kind of hinted towards it. No need to go in it anymore.
Yeah, why don't you tell your sister she was sick, and I'm gonna have Gloria by my side to rule the throne.
We've heard this repeatedly.
Yeah,
no need to focus on that.
Broken record.
The thing to focus on here is Tommy and JP's grandmother passing away.
Instantly, crazy.
Yeah. And the moment she passes away, it automatically brings up the next question is, why aren't you reaching out to Kate still? As JP is focused. I know we'll talk about what happens in the episode, but here at this moment with JP being hyper focused, like, we need to let her know what happened.
JP's a stand-up guy. And also he's much like Tommy, just black. You know, he wants family too. And he wants the truth. And Tommy's been lied to a lot. So is JP. Tommy thrives on family. So does JP. Literally the same. And I think it's not just a comparison in personalities, I think it just shows you what the absence of a family member can do to the kids. With Kate being gone from JP and Tommy not being aware of his father at the time and seeking out for him nonstop when Kate tried to protect him from him, and then he found him, and we see how that went. And JP doing the same thing, know that his mom is alive, and now he's relentless trying to find where she's at and so on. It's the same thing, you know, however you want to look at it, it's the same thing. I think the important thing with this scene is let's not forget, he wanted to know who the emergency contact was. And it was never answered, but it was obviously it was a bit for something, right? Well, just in case you all are wondering, how did the conclusion of the episode get to that way? That tells you who the emergency contact was the entire time, which is interesting to me. How did that come about?
Hold up. What? Now I'm confused.
I believe Kate was the emergency contact. How else would he got Kate's number?
Tommy.
He didn't get it from Tommy.
He definitely got it from Tommy.
Okay, if Kate wasn't an emergency contact, then who was, you think, Dan?
Now that is the interesting question there, is who was her emergency contact? I don't believe it was Kate. I believe it's someone else, and I believe it's someone else they will reveal later on.
Jeez.
But I don't think it was Kate. Because as we see at the end of the episode, when Tommy has Kate's number. When he pulls up Kate's number,
he looks
we're assuming he's going to call Kate. He sent that number to JP. Because JP has been asking for that number. He sent him the number. Again, Tommy has been clear that he is done with Kate no matter what.
True.
But by the end of the episode, no, but I don't want to get into it now because it's a lot of stuff that happens there that we do still need to talk about of what led Tommy to making that decision to give that number.
Rest in peace, Marion Egan. Marion Egan. Rest in peace. Let's get her on the show.
No, but hey, she didn't speak too much, but we can get her on here.
Yeah. It's crazy that we found somebody that had even less lines than Yaz at a point.
God damn it. So, next important thing happened in this episode. We get a quick conversation between Liliana and the chemist just talking about drugs. We've been talking about drugs this whole episode. If you didn't understand what she was saying, just listen to this episode back when we were talking about drugs and you'll fully understand.
Yeah, Liliana also is not a big fan of luck. Don't bring that in her house.
Hey, don't bring luck up.
That ain't how the streets run.
Don't bring luck up to any drug dealer. I'm letting y'all know now. That is not something that exists in the streets. No. But next scene is Tommy and Walter meet, and Walter offers Tommy a position in the organization.
Why not?
Did you feel this was a move of desperation by Walter?
Maybe, but I also think he knows that by having Tommy in could also sway Vic. So chess. And also, he's right. The house definitely looks much bigger during the day. It's crazy that I thought that and he said that. Like, but and also Walter basically said, so that Gloria, go ahead and hit that back up again, bro. Go ahead and do that thing. And obviously because he knows what that does for Vic and whatnot. So Walter out here was definitely trying to play chess.
But even the foreshadowing you get by the end of that conversation, by him saying she was still with Gloria, because you would get a kick out of what's about to happen. And keep in mind, he said this after, I want to say, it was that after the conversation he had with Paulie? Oh no, this was before the conversation he had with Paulie about taking a hit off of Gloria. But yeah, like again, that was just a very interesting thing to me. And then it transitions to one of my favorite scenes of this episode when Claudia attempts to go behind Tommy's back to strike a deal with Diamond. And Diamond's reaction is the perfect reaction. If you're offering me 10%, it's because you don't have control of everything. And if you're doing this, you're doing it behind your partner's back. You're someone I can't trust if you're going to try to pull that move. They're giving us subtle hints of the street dude that Diamond was and the way he ran business. Yeah, I thought this was the best scene possible to really show us the way he ran business. What did you think about that?
Same. I absolutely agree. Do you think that he knew that she had Dahlia?
Yes. 1,000%.
I think so too. Her coming is uncharacteristic. There's also an uncharacteristic drug all of a sudden out here. Of course, these are not a coincidence.
It's the difference, and it goes back to Tommy and Liliana at the beginning of the episode when they're having that conversation, and Tommy said, I feel so comfortable talking to another drug dealer. You know the game. This is clearly a move of someone who has the slightest idea what you're doing. Why the hell would you just randomly show up in this neighborhood that you shouldn't be in?
Yeah.
And you're trying to strike a deal because you want part of this pipeline. What are you putting in this pipeline? Clearly, you're not putting the drugs that your brother already put in the pipeline. So you have to have something different and new. And that's why, as she leaves out, Diamond says, "Oh, so you have Dahlia." Like, he's not an idiot. He just hasn't put together that Tommy is partnered with her yet. Because as Lil Wayne said, G's moving silence like lasagna. You don't spread your business out there the way Claudia is doing here, and that is part of the problem. There is the way she's spreading her business out.
Yeah. Also, Lil Wayne also said, "Brand new pussy good as baby powder." So just make sure when you quote Lil Wayne, just remember what else he's on the line for.
Hey, brand new pussy is clean as baby powder. You can't argue with him right there. But damn it, motherfucker. Had the perfect quote right there too. All right. So next up, again, the quick conversation between Walter and Paulie, just about family, just about business. Here, again, another pivotal conversation. Again, and here we're seeing Paulie come more out of his shell with Walter. And I think this is a very pivotal scene. And just let him know, like, hey, you kind of put yourself in this situation with the way you're doing family business. And the point that you have me as your second, and they had no problem with it, why would they possibly have a problem if you decided to pick Claudia over Vic? Like, this just reminded me of those old gangster films and that conversation where you got to put the boss in check a little bit without being overly disrespectful.
And only Paulie can do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you think there's anything to gain or anything else? We see later on another scene between Paulie and Vic. Do you think that it's a tad bit of foreshadowing of an issue that Paulie may have with Walter? Because in the end, keep in mind, the kids are his nieces and nephew. And what I mean by issue is an issue with the way he's treated them. Because again, Paulie wants that relationship with his son. As he says, he wished Vic was his son.
Yeah.
Like that, you got to really, that's a deep thing to say.
Yeah.
Especially because we know where his son is. That's why I said, do you think this could be a tad bit of foreshadowing, not of a separation, but of a resentment within Paulie towards Walter?
Not yet. Not at this immediate point, but later on it definitely starts to feel that way. I mean, I think he just told Walter the truth, and Walter said, we've been having it this way for 3 generations, and how would they take this news back home? And he was right to feel that way, but I think Paulie was able to really like penetrate his mind in a way that he may not have been seeing things. So he even had a little laugh at the end. So like, I think it was just the truth, the bit of consciousness that he needed. And I don't think Paulie made it about himself here. Not here. Later is where we see him kind of
that's why I was putting those two together, because then you could say, that's the problem. Even though him even standing up to Walter there and the laugh that takes place, and Walter's like, that's why you're my second. Because you feel comfortable enough to actually have an honest conversation with me. And attempt to put me in my place. But next couple scenes, nothing overly important. I'm just going to breeze through them real quick. We have Tommy and Vic, and Tommy tells Vic, you need to get out of town with Gloria.
Grab your girl and go.
Hey, hide your husbands, hide your wives, hide all that shit. Get Gloria up out of there. Then we have the next scene between Diamond and the reporter, as Diamond finally shows again just how smart he is, and letting her know, I know exactly what you're doing.
I know how to use the Googles.
I know how to use the Googles. Like, again, neither one of these scenes to me, there's not much to talk about. It's just
one thing here.
Go ahead.
We all now know who was supposed to meet her at the diner.
Yes.
Snitching E.
Is that snitching though?
No. Oh, right. You're not. Well, it
because
was
he
part
was just talking about the upbringing of someone in Chicago, and
yes, but he was definitely going to be like very uncandid with it, and I think he was going to kind of like equip her with information that was going to be the demise for him. Which brings you back to like, well, what was that conversation with him and Jannard on the bridge? And was this part of the plan? I mean, this is a super high level, sophisticated plan of like, yeah, we're going to get my brother back in jail by getting a reporter on him, so he can whatever, and then they can put it out, and obviously it works towards the narrative of her boss of what she wanted. So like that's kind of intense, but that's what it looked like the plan was going to be. But yeah. Only thing to make of that.
Told y'all not to trust Jeremiah. Just don't. Told y'all the only nigga to throw a concert with another nigga playing him in a concert. Like I told you, you can trust him. But the next important thing is the conversation between Claudia and Tommy, as Claudia lets it be known she wants the world to know she's pushing Dahlia, and Tommy relenting, saying, "Sure, not a problem. If you think you're prepared for it, let's do it. You take the clubs, I take the streets. But if your family gets involved in my business and they interrupt it, I'm going to have to take them out, basically."
Yeah.
This scene here, again, you kind of brought up earlier that Claudia wants to be famous. And that's why she's doing this.
Not famous, like the famous. Because it's only one famous we respect. But streets need a body.
Yeah. Well, Claudia gave the streets a couple of bodies. But
you're right.
What did you think about this overall, her mindset here? Beyond just her wanting to be famous, because it kind of feels like her wanting to be respected. Because she's tired of people talking about this drug, and you're not bringing my name up when you're talking about this drug.
Yeah, absolutely. Just it's an immature mindset, and I think she's looking for the glitz and glamour. I mean, she has a nice place. You can tell she's living the lavish life. She got money. She got the Monet G-Wagon. So she's doing something out here, and she doesn't want to work in silent no more. She wants to be able to be the face of the brand, and it's not how Tommy works. Tommy is, oh God, I can't believe I'm about to walk myself into this one. And I know you guys gonna be ready for this. Tommy is used to working not only with ghosts, but as a ghost. Where I'm done. I don't got nothing to say.
But keep in mind, Tommy actually agreed to this, and in part of him agreeing to it, he has to come out as the guy who produces Dahlia on the streets.
Yeah, no big deal.
It's not gonna be a situation where she comes out and he doesn't come out.
Yeah, no big deal.
To me, the big deal is you've just put the biggest target on both of your backs.
Yeah,
you got the hottest thing in the world, and everybody wants it. And if I know you're producing it, you're my number one target, not just for the guys on the street, for the police, for everybody in Chicago.
Yeah,
you just became the number one target. While Tommy is comfortable being that.
Oh yeah,
Claudia is not.
So what do you think he's doing? He's baiting her.
Oh no, he's pushing her out of business. But it brings back a very good conversation that we talked about. What did Walter tell Claudia? I didn't think you were stupid like your brother. Yeah. This is a stupid move here.
Yeah.
And a move that in the end is going to end up pushing her out the way.
Yeah.
But again, that's why I want to bring it up. Because again, it was just a very interesting conversation that them two had right there about the drug. And just how Tommy relented. And she didn't really pick up on it the way she should have. Like, why are you just so open and free? Like,
yeah. Tommy was like, you deserve this. Like all your hard work. This is where you should be. Yeah, it's definitely a trap. It's a trap. But Chloe doesn't care because she's looking for the instant gratification of it. And she'll get that for that long. Also, Maya's the plug. Shout out to Maya for really making all this happen in the first place. In the club, by the way.
R.I.P. to Maya.
Yeah.
But again, we got another quick hidden things that happened in this episode. D-Mac asks Tommy for a job. They do math.
Listen, time they displayed D-Mac being smart. They labeled that in his character profile, and we'd never seen it come to light. But I like how, and I want to talk about this really quick. I ain't gonna be long. I love the fact that D-Mac is intelligent, and I hate this perception of being intelligent means you need to be well rounded in every subject.
Nope.
And I think what's interesting is that in this day and age, D-Mac will almost be considered on the spectrum because he's not. But understand that, like, he's not stupid, as he very vividly said. He said he's just not good in one thing, and that's most of us in life. No one grows up to have a career in everything. You end up going one way strong in other thing, but you have weaknesses in other departments. And I think this is finally to see D-Mac show where his strengths are, and he is sick with the numbers. Think about this now. Who's been a numbers guy this entire time? Jannard. Oh, D-Mac is this blew him out the water, and I think that Tommy instantly gave him a job offer, and obviously had to do a little bit of recon on him, had to do a background check, had to probably put him in for a clearance to make sure he was good for the position. But I just love that this is how it was done. Like I hope people don't take this scene as a, like, oh, why they giving so much about this whole test with numbers. It's because we have to go back into the idea that he's not stupid. He's not, spectrum. He actually is smart. He's just not good in everything. No one's good in everything.
I would say he's definitely on the spectrum, but I'm saying that's not a bad thing either.
Right, but we, for lack of, we have the best word here. But for the old terminology that's completely dated and whatever, that's what he would be labeled as. And I think, especially on the street level, it'll be quick for to say like, oh, he's this, because he can't think of words and he's not, classifying things the correct way. And so for 7 episodes before this, you're like, D-Mac is just like a stupid young kid that don't know anybody. No. He's not stupid at all, actually. He's actually very smart. He just had to figure out what he was smart in. And him being smart is, you got Tommy over here with the calculator, like, how in the world did you... So this dude is brilliant in one aspect of the categories of what makes somebody intelligent,
Fortunately for Tommy, the one thing that you actually need to be brilliant at in selling drugs, granted, I'm not going to be on the street and giving people drug math problems. And if Tommy had 2 bricks and Karen had 3 bricks and we sold 8 bricks, no, we're not doing that. But again, this just happens to show us.
He passed the SAT for sure. The math portion, he blew that out the water. He gave
it shows us where the worth of D-Mac comes into an organization.
Yeah.
The point that you can pinpoint that, the point that I can bring you on a drop, and you should be able to calculate exactly how much I should be giving, how much everything is going to come out to, and things of that. That's a valuable tool, and just something interesting to show that D-Mac can do, because he can do math, and we need to see that he was smart, because he came across as the dumbest person humanly possible in the first couple of episodes,
which is wrong.
Again, exactly.
Also, fresh with the steep text every episode. By the way, those are my jam back in high school, man. That's all I wore, and my man, every episode got one of them things with 350, and Mom Deuce was not rocking. 2 and done. That was it. And then she took one, so there's that.
We're not going to talk about how I got things in high school. We're just going to go on to the next couple of things.
Y'all getting the whole. They're going to start. Yeah, they're going to Google you. A little.
But next up, we get the amazingly funny meeting between Liliana and JP. It's clearly Liliana wants to give JP the draws just off of his voice. Again, not much to talk about here. It's just a very comical scene. You kind of need something to be lighthearted a little bit to break everything out. We get Jannard attacking the Pilgrims. Another lighthearted scene. Granted, someone died, but it did become extremely lighthearted when he did it. Then we get the conversation between Paulie and Vic. And it's coming close to the end of the episode. Again, this is a very important conversation. As we brought up, this is when Paulie tells him, I wish you were my son. It's him kind of reaffirming that he believes in Vic more than Walter does.
Yeah, not to mention he said this is the oath with the family. That's a strong pact he made there. He
said not just the oath of the family, but of this family.
Yeah.
And for people that didn't know, it's a complete difference. The family is the organization. This family is us. Like, I'm here for you before I'm here for anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then
and then he mentioned that Walter brought in Tommy to try to give him a job, and that's where Vic starts to say, I knew I couldn't trust him. First of all, I just got to be honest. Vic whole stance and saying he can't trust Tommy makes no sense. Vic has Tommy has never done anything towards Vic at all.
None of that made sense. That, yes, Tommy meets with everybody. You think he cared? Like, it made no sense to even bring that up. But next big scene, the Gurry boys and Freddie Gibbs and that eye finally get to test Dahlia. And we get the reclassification of it as black magic. Shout out to Frank Lucas for changing it to black magic from blue magic. So again, also here, we get Jannard put the plan in place and saying, when you're ready, when I'm ready, I need y'all to come in because we're going to kill everybody to get this drug. Clearly, again, going completely against anything Diamond wants to do here. Was it at this point that you realized that the brothers had the issue that Tommy brought up in the episode?
Who is Jannard's beef with right now?
Everybody.
Pilgrims?
Everybody. He beefing with everybody.
Gotta be.
Like, he's just...
Hey, this about to take us back to Chicago 2018, January 2018, where there was like, what, 30, 40 deaths in 1 month?
Hey, because he feels it's necessary because, again, Jannard wants to completely control the streets. He's not happy with just having a piece of it. He needs to control everything humanly possible. And if I got to kill every crew in the world to get this new drug that no one is coming up and offering me to move, it's a problem. But again, if this helps us see more Freddie Gibbs in this show and the Gurry boys, I'm all for it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we get the tragic part of the episode. We kind of knew it was coming because there's no way in hell you're going to go off in power into happiness. It does not happen.
Listen, she comes back finally, and I'm like, oh boy. And this is like I just needed a break. And I swear they were going to play like some Ja Rule and Ashanti here or something. I was just like, oh, this ain't going good. And how does Gloria Flynn sound? Or maybe you take my name. And I was like, oh, this is definitely a rap now. Like, she out here lobbying for him to take her last name. Like, this is wild. And man, yeah, it was the Serbs that did this, wasn't it?
That's what I wanted to ask you. Two questions here. Do you think it was? Do you think it could have been someone else?
I mean, it's either the Serbs or Walter did it, but no, because they shot at Vic too, and actually they hit Vic, so it wasn't them. He wouldn't want his son to be. And let's be honest now, no one's a good shooter here, except for. I'm about
to say maybe they didn't mean to hit. I mean, they were shooting like Tariq. So they was just shooting to be shooting.
So I think it's the Serbs, and they just call him slipping. It's interesting though, because for the drama, Tommy's gonna think it was Walter, because the warning that he also Vic is probably also going to come back to Vic Vic's gonna come back to Tommy like, who did you? Oh, well, you got it from my dad. That's where the connection gonna go, and I think it's gonna be the Serb. I mean, he had to see them though. So I don't know. I think
what makes it worse is that if Vic would have just followed Tommy's instructions and took Tommy's car, none of this would have happened. Of course, they pinpointed his car. That's what made them go after him.
Yeah, so definitely the Serbs. I'm going with the Serbs, and I also think that Vic is definitely going to have a lot to say next episode. He should have listened to Tommy. He's going to probably blame his dad. Gloria's not going to have a funeral. If Gloria has a funeral, that sucks, because the only person that didn't have a funeral was Mai. Everybody else has had one.
Gloria's getting a funeral.
Okay, well,
and her black family's going to show up that we haven't seen yet.
Well, there's that.
Mama gonna be crying right into the gravesite. You better stop playing. You already know she getting a funeral.
He sold the land. He sold the car. He sold the dog. He sold it all. He wanted it all.
Oh man, not Jagged Edge and P. Diddy. Girl, I traded all money, cars. Oh shit! But yeah, let's get to the end. Let's close out this review. Get to the last part. A huge part of this episode, which is as Tommy's doing recognizance on D-Mac for some odd reason here, he goes to D-Mac's little stash and finally realizes that D-Mac is JP's son. And in turn, to me, Once he finds this out, he then pulls a picture out of him and Kate. And he pulls up Kate's number and gives JP Kate's number to call. And we finally get Kate back on screen. And she's just shocked when JP says, "It's your son." And she knows that's not Tommy's voice. What did you think about that whole setup? Just from the beginning, everything with D-Mac, as we see that clearly, no matter what he's gone through with JP, we understood that he truly cares for his father.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised that Kate was back. I mean, I knew we were saying it was going to happen, but like seeing it was definitely like a wow. Tommy first should also realize that makes that your nephew.
Yes, 1,000% so. I think he easily put that together.
Yeah,
with no issue.
Which also makes him cousins with Tariq.
Yeah, there you go.
And Braden, by the way, just throw him in there too. And Braden's actually Tommy's son. But seriously, I think that like again, I hate to say it in this way, but they're all sucker for family, and like realizing he has more family just really like softened his heart. And I think he looked at Kate's number because he wanted to call her, but I mean that's literally a tough battle for him to deal with. I don't know if he gave JP the number.
I'm still saying he to me, the way that was framed, it was that he clearly gave JP the number because he's like, I think it was because Tommy's like, I don't need to communicate with her. But after seeing that picture and him understanding that JP's already said he's not seen his son. He told Tommy at the beginning of the season he had not seen his son in what, 10 plus years?
Haven't seen his son, haven't seen his mother. I mean,
yeah. So Tommy probably felt like, hey, I can't take this away from you two. Like, especially after him knowing that was D-Mac. And now he knows that D-Mac is his nephew and that's JP's son. He's like, I can't keep Kate away from you. No matter how bad I believe she is for you, that's not my call to make. Because also, it brought up the important part you brought up of the way Kate thought she was protecting Tommy from his father. Yeah. And Tommy thought he was doing the same thing. And I think seeing that picture and then Tommy thinking about his life made him give that number to JP.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about from this episode?
There's something very important we need to talk about too. Okay. First off, I think we will determine how JP got the number. But I want to go back to Miriam, and Miriam's death was very, very, let's just say, coincidental. And you want to think this was natural causes here, but I'm not so. I think there's some type of tampering going on here.
Really?
I really do. And what it is, I think we're going to have to find out, but I do not think it was natural causes. That is a bang bang type of thing that just, I don't think they would have did it in that fashion. He literally comes in, checks on her, she's doing okay. I mean, yes, but also not her just coming there, but her health quickly de-escalating to her getting there, and he's coming to see her, and then he's like, hey, what's the emergency contact for her being there? What's behind this is my question, and I'm curious about that. That's where I am.
Do you think we'll find out more when we find out exactly who the emergency contact was?
Maybe there's something to this. I know we didn't spend a lot of time on it, but I think it's something to this. And also, I just quickly looked up Dirty Cop number 2, Lieutenant Warshawski finds out about Seamus and the money he's getting from the Flins and wants it cut.
Hey, so
Dirty
what happened?
Dirty Cop 2.
So hey, we could do crazy power logic. Maybe we find out that Paulie is Kate's brother, and he's the emergency contact.
I don't know, man.
Hey, look,
I
I'm
don't
just throwing
know.
shit out there at
Something.
this point.
It's going to be something. I keep thinking about characters who haven't had much right now. Seamus has definitely been the one that we kind of like, what's his whole purpose? But there's something here with Miriam that I think we're going to find out, and I'm not sure what, but I think we're going to end up finding out more about
Kate
it.
better not have another black son. I know that much. It's gonna make it so much worse that she picked Ghost over everybody.
Jeez. Jeez. But yeah, that's all I got.
Hey, we're done here then.
All right.
Look here, in my mind, I'm like, wait a minute, maybe Seamus is Kate's other black son, but we're not going down that road. We're an hour and 10 minutes in here. We'd like to thank y'all for again tuning in to another Power Book 4 Force. I know that's a lot at one time. Review. Again, you can check us out every Saturday night right after the episode airs. We'll drop this review. You can check out Big Gold Belt for a bunch of reviews on everything else. We have nothing but content for you on every show humanly possible you can think of, every film you could think of, every wrestling event you could think of, everything humanly possible you could think of as it pertains to entertainment. Come check out Big Gold Belt. Think you'll be in for a hell of a ride if you do. Also, check out our man Phil Donlin with these amazing shirts again. DM him, email him. I'm pretty sure you could possibly send him a pigeon somehow, some way. I'm pretty sure Phil would not mind. And just get some merch, some cool merch for the summer.
Oh, hey, pussy. And as I said, folks, definitely let us know in the comments your thoughts about tonight's episode, but also let us know, like, who else should we be? We do have something else still coming, but we also want to hear from you all. Who else would you like to see on the show, or any other type of power content which you like? Again, we definitely got things coming. We're definitely always brainstorming and whatnot, but we would like to hear from you all as well too. And as I said, you hit up Gabrielle Ryan and say, hey, you need to come holler at them. We need to talk about Gloria and that tragic death that she just returned. She had her whole future in front of her.
She even had the death sweater on, the joint with the sleeves right over the hands. You know you're gonna die when you wear one of those sweaters. That's like the Aaron Hall joint in the Miss You video. That looked like that. The chick had that joint on when she lost the baby and died. So, like, you got to be careful wearing those type of sweaters, man.
Got to. But yeah, that'll do it tonight, folks. Jump in the comments, let us know your thoughts about tonight's episode. We'll see you back next week for our, well, not yet, but almost our finale. But two more before we get to it. Before another review. Y'all know what it is. But yeah, we'll see you next week, folks.